RIX are scary. They're getting rid of the Kha'Zix, one of Seven's favorite champions. They're banning out Jace, they're banning out Singed. And then the first pick. They're going hard in the early game. This is Lucian. This is a statement that we're going to win as quickly as possible, and we're going to make sure RIX don't get to those team fights that looked so scary.
And if you go back to the WCK regional playoff stage, T1 in their upper bracket finals against Rolster Y, while they didn't win out the series, the 2 games that they won, it was off the back of BDG's Lucian. I don't want to see a Lucian mid for core. I know we've seen a lot of Lucian with the Hull Breaker, but if you give BDG the tools with the Nami,
Lucian Nami,
this is an all-in Dragon Lane. This is going for hard pressure under the tower. If JY can find a jungler that's not the Wukong, something that like a Lee Sin or a Xin Zhao, you dive the lane early and you snowball the game from there.
If we've seen one thing this tournament, it's that it's hard to dig something like a Ziggs out from behind turret. The Ziggs can sit back there and clear wave, no troubles in the world. One of the few things that can find kills behind turrets is Lucian Nami. Long-range bubbles, lockdown targets. Lucian, even during the early game, can burn them down.
So it looks as though T1 are ready for this fight. It looks like they're about to take the fight to RIX as well.
And it's forced an adaptation from RIX.
Yep.
Rather than doubling down on the late game as they did during the first game, they've drafted Lee Sin. They've given themselves tools on 7 to contest the early game and build a bridge to that late game they're looking for.
And you can see that RIX are starting to take away some of the early agency options from T1 as well. Core, his signature Ahri.
Yeah.
7 picks overall in the WCK, something that could have paired alongside an aggressive jungler. And the Shen as well. A Baron laner, while it can hold on to something like a Camille in the early stages of the game, it's not used for the split push. It's used to create pressure on a side lane so that you are forced to use the Stand United and overwhelm, create a numbers advantage to get objectives down.
Really good draft from RIX, so the question's hanging over at T1. What do you draft in the top lane? What do you draft in the mid lane? They are connected. The top lane is either going to be what you're playing through, or more likely in a composition with Lucian Nami on the bottom side left alone. I'm looking for something like a Garen or a Darius in that top lane that can operate on their own devices. What do you have in the mid lane? Hopefully something that can roam, that can play like the Ahri. Get out of that mid lane and either find isolated kills there or show up in the bottom lane to bolster your Lucian Nami.
I personally would advocate for the Wukong, swap it over to the Baron lane. It might not be the best matchup into the Camille, like a Garen or a Darius that holds on, but I want something that has hard crowd control before level 5. Wukong Cyclone is great, but you have to dive the Ziggs early on against the Gragas, because if you don't bring enough CC, if you don't bring enough early game power with something like a Xin Zhao, you can't get this Lucian Nami properly snowballed.
Yeah, the Wukong stands out in this composition right now. It's a late game pick and not one that looks good in any of these roles. We do get the Garen as I was asking for, which means that it's going to be jungle Wukong, and we're going to get Riven mid.
Yes!
Core doubling down on the early game. He's going to be brawling, he's going to be fighting, he's going to be looking for kills as T1 try to keep Korea alive in this play-in stage.
And this is going to be massive indeed. T1, as I mentioned, they look like they are ready to take that fight. You see all of these champions, they are ready to brawl indeed. RIX, though, on the other side, they're just one game away from cementing this. Look at this composition right here.
Where
Rafa.
does the Camille go? Oh, it's Renekton mid. It's Renekton mid.
We're getting a Riven.
Renekton mid into Riven.
Renekton
Now,
mid.
Core can play Garen mid lane. The question is, can RIX follow the Riven with the Renekton? Can they get that matchup specifically?
And can they win these fights? Which is what this game is going to come down to, as RIX try to knock Korea out of play-ins and advance to the group stage with one more win.
And right now, we can see Stuart very, very happy with that as he's pumping his fist up in the air. But right now, I'm thinking, this is going to be a brawl.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be that big early game for them and maneuver around the map, get early kills.
And part of that is going to come in with the exhaust on the Doom and the auto attacks and the early dominance. That's what it is. It's early dominance.
Early dominance, because on the other side of the spectrum, T1, BDG, Penguin pick up a very strong early game dual lane which is gonna be extra aggressive, right? You dash in as BDG with Illusion, then you have Ebb and Flow with the bubble, with everything basically, and poor Doom has to basically defend from all of that. Especially when we look back at the WCK, BDG has used Lucian up against Rolster Y. I remember BDG dashing forward 1v1 against Zero. He was on a Zed and killed him under tower. This is T1 bringing out the big guns, relying on BDG to carry this game this time around.
I mean, they absolutely do, right? You look back to the WCK as a region, so much emphasis on those traditional marksmen between players like Luna, BDG as well. They definitely have big shoes to fill.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's why I like it when Clue picked up the Gragas, right? Because this will prevent a potential dive that BDG can possibly set up. You look at JY here on the Wukong, that's what I'm thinking. Early dive to set up for BDG again. So if T1 is able to get BDG in an early lead, I feel like RIX can be in big trouble. Look, just as I said!
And they will do exactly that, make their way down to the bottom end. Caught out by a control one on the way there though, so unfortunately you're gonna have to back away. Now RIX might try to fight for the Scuttle Crab, but it's walking away from them. There's no point going for that.
Yeah, RIX sees this coming. So you don't want to risk it. You don't want to lose that early game because that's their rail. That's their support right now. That's what they're relying to win this game. In the meantime, though, for RIX, we saw 7 earlier on the Jax being that scaling carry. But this time around, he's the opposite. He's the one setting up for Random and Snitch this time around for this Renekton. Renekton mid, by the way, so if ever this snowballs again, which I feel like can be a little bit difficult because you're up against Koros and a Garen, who's supposed to not die during the laning phase. So I feel like 7 and Snitch should find kills elsewhere. And you know what that means? Skirmishes and possible fights at Rift Herald and Dragon.
Nobody really gets exactly what they want, so they're just gonna have to make do with what they have. That being said though, it will be very interesting to see what happens once those early objectives come up, if any team is able to find a lead before that happens. Last game, didn't really quite see that happen, despite T1's attempts. Shut down very well on the side of RIX.
Yeah, T1 again has to be outside of their comfort zone. Game 1 didn't pan out too well, even though their composition spelled, you know, early to mid game. But this time it's very clear that this is early to mid as well, with BDG winning the laning phase. But when we go towards the late game, Doom on this Ziggs is going to be incredibly scary, and no one can reach him. BDG on this Lucian is very short range, so I think that's going to be the issue in the Elder Drake fights.
Gotta keep Doom alive. If Doom is able to keep outputting damage, T1 just genuinely don't have a way to respond to that. For now, though, we do see a bit of a lull in the game. Nothing too surprising. That being said, though, RIX do have quite a few aggressive options. Despite that, ooh, look at that. Look at that deep vision.
Yeah, earlier game 1, T1 entirely all control wards in their inventory. They've switched up their trinkets already, but you gotta like it, right? They're keeping an eye on 7 and make sure that they don't set up tower dives on Zhong on this Riven.
Yeah, keep a track of RIX, you know.
Yeah.
They got all the data. Know exactly what they're gonna do.
It's very important because RIX wants to move early. They're so good at this early game. Yeah.
Zhong spots out 7 on the way over. And 7 is unsure if he wants to get back into the brush.
It's a little bit difficult, right? Because Riven is super slippery. Outplay potentially that 1v2. No summoners burned yet by Random here for Zhong, so might as well. Second attempt, though, for this bot lane dive.
Yeah, round 2. They do have a bit of a wave coming in, but again, will be spotted out by 2 wards on the way over. Trying to trade back a little here as RIX gets a little bit of damage onto JY on the exit.
I like how RIX is playing this game because they know who else they're going to play around with. They know that every single time if T1 sees an opportunity, they want to give kills to BDG. That's through tower dives, that's through fights. 20 seconds on the clock for the next objective, for the first spawn rather, and that means it's go time. This is the time where BDG should get kills. Yeah, Storm Razor, that's an early game pickup. He needs to get kills right now.
Yeah, RIX doing such an amazing job denying T1's attempts. Twice in the bottom side, once in the top side. Shut down entirely. Objectives come up now. We see T1 move into the mid lane first. They want to try and focus the dragon, as is typical of WCK fashion.
It's a trade. It's gonna be a trade. So we'll see if T1 will try again during the laning phase, but if RIX is able to get that Rift Herald for themselves, that's an easy first blood tower because you've got the Ziggs to finish off with a satchel.
Rift Herald goes over to RIX, and it's like you mentioned, Doom has a very easy time clearing out a turret with the satchel when they need it. I want to think a little bit bigger picture here, Riku.
Uh-huh.
T1 going into this, they just need to take one more game away. RIX have already managed to find that first game. I might have to hold that thought the moment I start saying that. RIX and T1 trade in bottom side.
Yeah, this is incredibly important. RIX is one game away. Literally one game away, and it feels like they're doing every single thing to deny T1 from getting the early game that they needed for BDG. And it's just going so well, and it's looking really scary for T1 at the moment.
And RIX had a difficult opponent before this as well. Getting to this point, I mean, it just seems like T1, well, if they lose here now, RIX pick up a huge momentum boost going into the group stage. I'm looking forward to see how that one plays out. For now, though, making their way up towards the top end of the map. T1 again, stifled here.
Ooh.
We'll look for a dive here
Right
as they try to move in onto Clue. Clue's still alive. The
Wow.
Calling not able to finish him off. You watch as
Whoa.
Zhong sits at the very edge of the Hextech ultimatum, but still taken down by Doom.
You can tell how frustrated T1 is. Like, we need kills for BDG right now. Let's move towards top lane. We didn't get it on towards the first objective spawn, but then it backfires. RIX played that so well.
Rotero comes in. They want to find a fight in the mid side. RIX walking forward.
Oh.
Will get punished as random flashes away. Has to use his hookshot as well. JY trying to chase after 7, but too far away. The safeguard will keep him out of range.
RIX not dying at this point of the game.
So frustrating.
It is, I know, for G1. And the fact that they're the ones instead who gave them first blood, it must be so frustrating at the moment. So now, this is going to be a little bit awkward, right? Because T1 either has to wait for the next objective to spawn, but that's going to take too long. They got to make proactive plays, but you know what's making dives so difficult right now? Doom Sigs! Wave clear, wave clear, wave clear. Where's the wave clear from T1? It's non-existent. BDG as solution? That doesn't spell wave clear. That spells that you're going to have a hard time setting up dives and getting priority.
Yeah, just cannot keep up with what RIX is able to get done. The map, the macro gameplay here, RIX reinvigorated coming into the series, and they're looking so much better in the macro game, have fixed so many of their issues. And T1 having a difficult time trying to keep up. Very frustrated, I can imagine, going up against RIX, who have been able to deny their attempts time in and time out. T1 unable to accrue an advantage beyond the narrow gold advantage they have.
Now this must feel so great for RIX right now.
Yeah, RIX have really been able to identify exactly what needed to be done to deal with these problems here. JY trying to stop 7 from getting in. The wave will start to crash now.
Oh.
4 joins into the fight. A big cyclone gets the knock up. 7 over the back. But JY, he flashes away. He leaves the Lee Sin alone. He won't be able to finish the kill.
No one's dying, Brandon! No one refuses to die! That was so close!
Was so close to a kill there. And now it's been caught out.
Uh-oh.
Punished.
Wait, that's the
Hextech
clone!
ultimatum onto the wrong target. Ignite down onto JY. The body slam and the auto attack for the kill finally going over the RIX.
This is looking so good for RIX right now. 8 minutes into the game, 2 kills. That is a good sign. Because if you don't see numbers on T1 side, you don't see kill numbers on their side, that's such a good sign for RIX.
RIX had to fight tooth and nail to get back to this point now in this series. Are looking very strong. Second turret going over there, and T1 do manage to trade for the bomb side one though. But it's still RIX here, trying to get into this late game where they are so much stronger.
The timer for T1 is the Elder Drain. If they don't get an early lead and get BDG snowballing, actually right now it's really awkward for T1's composition, especially for BDG. Doom is going to deal a lot of damage later, and this is the reason why T1 wants to fight this. They got to get kills, triple kill, quadra kill for BDG, like right in this fight.
There wasn't a fight for the last objective, but maybe this time will be different. They start to move in here. JY tries to find the engage first. RIX start to back away. The Rift Tower finally goes over to 7. In the meantime, T1 have yet to find an avenue in. RIX doing an amazing job defending.
RIX is doing everything right, and now that they get the Rift Herald, denying more possible turrets for T1 to get back in to infuse more gold to BDG. They're now in position for this. Look at the position of 7 though.
Dragon coming in
far
as
away.
well. Yeah, 7's far away, but JY is even further. And so as you look at this fight, 3 versus 3, fighting by the river, looking for some control. Zhong gets kicked away by the Dragon Rage. A big spell used early.
Yeah, definitely not going to be available for this objective. The Mountain Drake.
Here we go. They get a catch on the Snitch.
Oh!
Flash on the turret. Still goes down.
Really nice pick there from T1. We'll see if RIX fights back. It's a 4v5 though.
Opens up some space. I think T1 are looking for the Dragon now instead.
Oh, this is going to be awkward. 18 seconds. No Snitch. 4v5.
Mid turret very difficult to fight for. RIX still looking for an entry angle back in. The Redemption is going to come down. T1 top up to nearly full off of that. And the Dragon finally goes over to T1. A second for them.
This is going to be important for T1, right? The stacking Dragons. We know that the WCK, T1 as well, of course, being so good at Elder Drake fights. And then winning the game through that big 50-50, that explosive team fight in that area.
I mean, you said they had that Elder Drake as their timer. T1
Yeah.
are really looking to stack up for it, and it's looking to be an Elder Inferno here, Riku.
Yeah, that's a scary part, right? As I say that's a WCK special. That's how they win games. But the biggest question is, does their composition even make that a solution now? Make that even a route now for them to win? And it feels that's a no.
Can RIX just overpower that entirely?
And it could be possible because that's Doom there on the Ziggs. Again, we talked about Ziggs.
Get that
Snitch
first
is going
knock off.
down.
A beautiful combo here from John to finish off that kill. Culling not able to find his mark. Doom flashes away far enough in time. Still looking for a gauge here. 7, very close but blocked by the minion.
T1 wanting to get a kill off of Doom, but they get a kill off of Snitch. 4v5 across the map. That means they can take down towers, have enough space. I like this as we get to look at the gold. Granted, 10k gold on BDG, the highest earning in this game at the moment, and this is working. Look how they're infusing so much gold onto BDG. If he cannot get kills, I'm just gonna get turret plates, and that's how I'm gonna get gold.
Yeah, turret plates, jungle camps, everything he can find in between, and somehow accruing a pretty good lead over Doom here. But it's like you said, Doom, no one can touch him.
Yeah.
He's so far away. He's back home, right? He's back home in his couch, lobbing out the bombs. T1 are like, I can't go there. That's too far away.
Exactly. That's how comfy he is, right? He's sipping some tea, just chilling at the backside. And the fact that he's building, he has a tier in his inventory, that means he's gonna have Seraph's Embrace eventually, and that's gonna keep him extra safe. And he carries an exhaust in his pocket. BDG dashes in, boom, I got an exhaust to keep him safe.
Yeah, between the Hourglass, between the Seraph's Bracelet, soon to come, the exhaust. I mean, even with an assassin, it would be difficult. Here now, you don't have that option. Reptile popped in the bottom side. Core starts to walk in. It's going to get spotted out by Snitch. They are maybe looking for a fight. Tidal Wave comes in, but it's going to be too far away. Only managed to clip out Doom, but he still managed to find him. Still in range for now. RIX start to run away, but Snitch caught out in the process. They get back under mid-turret. Clue very close to going down, but beautiful Dragon's Rage through the members of T1. Block their engage.
I love how we exactly talked about how do you reach Doom. That's how you reach Doom. You clear a path by using the Tidal Wave straight to the Bomberman.
And now looking to get some work done on the turret. A beautiful bubble. The silence here on the random. Hextech Ultimatum out to buy some time, but he falls nonetheless.
And just like that, T1 takes back the game state that we were so concerned about. We talked about how, okay, BDG, not getting a lot of kills, but let's take a look at this first. This is exactly what T1 wanted to do, right? Tidal Wave, a clear path. Satchel doesn't work for Doom and help him. And they just really pummeled the hurt onto Doom. Focused every single hurt and pain onto him. And that's their mission. Mission accomplished, no Doom, no problem.
Needs a back massage after that one. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt. Needs a massage. Reptile was free hitting in the bot side while all that was happening. And so I do believe it got close to the turret, but blocked by the minions in the way there. So that might have been... Yeah, I think that was not a Herald charge. I think it went down to the bot side, but did not manage to get the charge off.
And that is quite unfortunate. And now for T1,
really unfortunate.
It is very sad when the...
You trade Rift Channel for Dragon and you don't get anything out of it, but I suppose good buy here is they won't manage to find BDG. BDG is going to use his Hourglass here. The rest of his team has to come in to try and save him, keep him alive. We saw what happened when Doom went down the last time around. So now you lose your own marksman, your own carry. What can you get done? Apparently the answer is a lot. John rushes in, flashes in, gets a knock up, a stun on the 7 and random, taking them both down. Clue off by the side will fall as well. Stitch gets hit by the silence, gets hit by the stun. His dominance runs out and Doom left packing, leaving Stitch alone as T1 find 4 on the bot side.
And that was RIX trying to find an angle to eliminate BDG. Yes, they were able to, but the follow-up...
Doom? You
Is he
can't
okay?
stay here!
He can't!
You have the satchel charge, but it's not gonna be enough, right? The exhaust onto Jong, trying to keep him off you, but he's hunting you down, chasing you so quickly. Ebb and Flow, they managed to find the movement speed in the tide, and the Aqua Prison, the bubble, the knock-up gives them the Prime Gaming ace.
That's crazy, and it equals into a Baron. This is such a snowballing domino effect. Turn of events, it all started with RIX wanting to get BDG's life. Yes, he is one of the biggest problems. 13k gold lead, 13k gold rather, but at the end of the day, they exhausted all their resources just to kill one target, and this enabled T1 to fight back. They were able to get Jong on a couple of kills in this fight, and not only that, they get Baron to boot. That's crazy.
He was bait all along.
It was!
BDG was bait all along. You thought you had him. Baron goes over to T1. Now Ocean Drake likely go over to RIX here. JY tries to rush into the pit.
Tidal wave.
Out of range, kicked away by 7. But the tidal wave starts to come through. JY stuck in the Hextech, automated, but they have the damage coming through. Now BG fully online. A double kill Alpha Illusion. He's here to play a triple Alpha T1.
There we go. That's the answer. BDG triple kill, getting the Dragon, getting the Baron. Now they can push. A lot of death timers. Only Doom there to defend.
The minion wave starting to come in, but they do not need it. Core is so tanky at this point in the game. The teleports come through, and T1 with renewed vigor will pull this series 1-1.
Oh, what a series we have here, Grandin. So crazy. There were a little bit of concern on the early game from T1, but at the end of the day, BDG not getting a lot of kills early, not a problem. I'll just farm the jungle, farm all the turret plates. That's exactly what they needed.
To BDG to get farm, and I understand, because I was sitting there too, the idea of, oh, well, we don't really care if the Lucian gets gold. Why would we worry about the Lucian getting gold? But now you know BDG pulls it off. This time around, it should be pretty simple to realize if they're stacking gold on BDG again and punish it. I think you ban the Lucian in-game as well as out-of-game. It just requires a little bit more ganking.
I think, though, what we can also take away from this is that if you look at BDG, if you look at Doom, look at the damage output, they weren't that far away. But I feel like RIX just here, they were just caught out in the wrong moments. You saw so many times that T1 caught them out when they weren't expecting it, and they took advantage of that completely.
And it's what TJ said about T1. They were starting to run out of time of when to strike hard with this Lucian, because at a certain point, Ziggs gets to eclipse that damage with longer range and far safer ways to engage in fights, because the Mega Inferno Bomb is a semi-global ult. But the fact that BDG is able to match, if not output more damage,